I want the American people to understand that we have a clear and focused goal: to disrupt, dismantle, and defeat al-Qaeda in Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Welcome back. The president made his push to NATO for more troops in Afghanistan, but after a tepid response from the international community, how much longer can the U.S. go it alone? Saeed Jawad is Afghanistan's ambassador to the United States. He joins me now in the studio. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for being with us.
You're most welcome.
Were you disappointed that the Europeans last week made such a minimal contribution to the Afghanistani effort?
We should keep in mind that 40 countries have troops in Afghanistan. 60 countries are providing resources to rebuild Afghanistan.
But they didn't increase their commitments any year, didn't
they? Did not significantly, and I'm glad that the new administration is recognizing these different partners are bringing different degrees of capabilities and commitments to the table. So what the new administration is seeking, and we completely are in favor of, is to seek a synergy between these different capabilities. Instead of pushing them hard to deliver more troops, we know that they have some limitations. Most of the limitations on the delivery of the troops are political by their nature, not military.
Politically, do you worry that the perception is this is an American war, not an international war?
Well, the presence of the NATO is a significant political asset for us in Afghanistan. But at the end of the day, this war is about Afghanistan and the United States. Right. And if we fully commit ourselves, it's easy to achieve our objective while working together and getting this mission done, instead of expecting deliveries by some of our partners that may not come along.
Give us a timetable when you think the Afghanis can take over most of their security needs.
We are grateful for the willingness of the administration to increase our troops. In the next 5 to 7 years, we will reach the degree of the capabilities that the Afghan National Army and police forces required. We need a combined 400,000 security forces in Afghanistan. Of course, if we remove the pressure on the security of Afghanistan by dealing with the sanctuaries of the terrorists in Pakistan, then we can have peace and security in Afghanistan much faster.
So you agree with General McKiernan, however, that the U.S. troops are going to be there for at least 5 years and maybe longer?
The troops, yes. And we hope that the political engagement stay there for many years to come.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you about some of the problems that you have internally. Everyone agrees that beefing up the Afghan police forces, security forces, is essential. The New York Times spent several weeks in, I think it's pronounced Ghazni province.
Yes.
And here's what they reported. They said that corruption was pervasive there. And I'm going to quote the New York Times. Payoffs, bribes, smuggling. It's so rife that it has deeply undercut efforts to improve the police and destroy many and has destroyed many Afghans' faith in government. A real problem?
There was an undisciplined, large group of militias that called themselves the Afghan army. We, by working together with the United States, we got rid of them. We have a very capable professional army in place in Afghanistan. We can do the same thing with the police force.
You think you can? Because the provincial police chief, the departing one, told the Times, he said, the reason that no one accepts the rule of law is because the government is not going by the rule of law in that province.
If we allocate the kind of resources that we did for the army, there's no reason that we cannot achieve the same kind of results. The guy who is serving as a police officer might be the brother of the guy who is serving in the National Army. Right. There's more resources and more leadership on our part, and we have achieved those results. So for those who have doubt about the future of the police, they should look at the example of the National Army.
Do you think the Pakistanis are still supporting terrorists on the border? Elements in Pakistan are still supporting terrorists?
The new civilian government of Pakistan is committed to fight extremism. They don't have the necessary capabilities to do so. The Pakistan security institutions do not see extremism and terrorism as a serious threat to Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the world. They see India as the main threat.
So are they still supporting elements of terrorists?
We have not seen any indication that the support has discontinued. The support is going on for 7 years.
Yeah. The Afghan parliament, as you know, passed a measure that forces a wife to submit to sex with her husband certain times and sets conditions for when she can leave the residence. Will that become law? Or can you tell Americans if that will be overturned?
This is not the law yet, and it will not become the law because it contradicts some important principles of the Afghan constitutions. President Karzai have assigned a commission, have sent this law back to the Ministry of Justice. But we should also be mindful that a lot of the provisions of these laws have been misreported. to the media, because the final version of the law is not yet gazetted. It's not that publicly.
But what's
official.
been reported is not going to become law.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. President Obama gave a speech in Ankara directed to the Muslim world. What effect did it have?
Tremendous effect. President Obama have energized the young people all over the world, especially minorities and especially the Muslim people. The speech, the visit to the mosque in Turkey are sending a very, very clear signal that the United States is with the moderate forces of Islam and Muslims who are suffering, who are the prime victim of terrorism and extremism in their own countries.
Because there were some surveys that showed in some Muslim countries that even some of Osama bin Laden was more popular than George Bush. Do you think that Barack Obama and his background and his message is actually turning this around and may lessen support for terrorists?
It is beginning to turn this around, seriously. The fact is that a better public relation campaign is needed, by not only delivering public speeches, but also making it possible for more young Muslims to come and visit this wonderful country, to have an opportunity to experience what the United States is about. We are hoping that there will be less restrictions in their visas and interactions, bringing more Muslim Afghans or other students to the United States to provide for these kind of exchanges.
And how's the always audacious Mr. Holbrooke doing as the special envoy for Afghanistan?
He is a tremendous force of change. He's working very closely in consultation with our government. He's doing a very good job, both here in Washington and is traveling also frequently to the region. So we are really counting on him to deal with the regional aspects of the terrorism in Afghanistan and Pakistan in an effective way.
Thank you for being with us, Mr. Ambassador.